Hi, I want to welcome you to my first crochet video. It's how to crochet. We're going to start from the very beginning. I'm going to explain some tools and other items to you for getting started on crochet, and then we're going to go and start by chaining and learning our single crochet stitch. So let's start out by talking about some tools. Your most important tool is your hook. I prefer a wooden hook. These are made by Laurel Hill. They're exotic wood, hardwood, and they're really beautifully made. They have a nice grip, which helps me keeping my hand from getting too much carpal tunnel because I crochet so much, and it has a great handle. And it has a beautiful tip. They've perfected the shape of the tip so it's easy to crochet fast. And they're actually reasonably priced, between $8 to $12 each. I have a whole set. Let's look at the different sizes. You can get as small as 000, and that's for thread crochet, but this is for mainly yarn crochet. Laurel Hill carries D to M. So they have a D size, and that's this size. And then they have the M size for bulky projects. And these are all the different, as you go up in the alphabet, the hooks get bigger. This is another type of hook. This one comes with a grip. It's an aluminum hook. It's lightweight, just as lightweight as this wood one. And I like this as well. This is your standard hook. These aluminum ones, they're okay. They tend to, the aluminum ones tend to get jagged on the edges if you drop them, and then your yarn gets tangled on that. And so I actually prefer to use my lightweight Laurel Hill crochet hooks. You can also find them in my shop. I have them in my Etsy shop and soon to be on my website. So you're welcome to purchase them there. You will also need a tapestry needle. There's different sizes. That's for weaving in your ends when you're done with your projects or putting things together or whatnot. The tapestry needle it has a big enough hole so that you can put the yarn in, and it also is not pointy. It allows you to put it through an area that's not going to catch too much on the yarn. And a pair of nice sharp scissors for finishing off your project. So those are your tools that you need. You also need some yarn. I prefer to start with what's called a cotton, 100% cotton yarn. There's different types of yarn. Here's a wool blend yarn. This is a Lion brand yarn. It's a bulky weight yarn. You can see how big that is compared to something like this. But I prefer the color changing, either stripes or ombre style cotton yarns. This is made by Sugar and Cream, and this is another Sugar and Cream. This is the solid. I prefer to use the color changing one because that one is more useful when it comes to seeing your crochet stitches when you're first beginning. It's very hard to see one crochet stitch from the next, and as you're color changing, it's much easier to spot those things. So you also need to know the difference between a ball. This is a ball. This is a skein. The skein comes in kind of a little package like this. There's also something called a hank, your finer yarns that are hand dyed and made through hand spinning them, tend to come in hanks, and then you turn those hanks into balls, or you can turn them into these. So I'm going to pull out the middle. I always work from the middle out. That way I don't have a lot of flopping around. So I put my finger in and pull out the middle and find my middle yarn. That way the yarn comes out the middle like this. All right, and I'm going to be using primarily my H hook. So let's get that. That's a good beginner hook. It's a good hook size to use. And we're going to start by learning how to hold our yarn, make a beginning knot, which is called a slip knot. The first slip knot we're going to do is we're going to take our two fingers and we're going to wrap around like that. We're going to take our hook, we're going to go through, hold, pull through, and let go and pull through. And this is a slip knot because it slips smaller and bigger. Okay, let's try that again. We're going to wrap around, cross over, take our hook, put underneath the cross, grab the yarn on the other side, pull it through. I'm going to hold this with my finger, and we're going to do that. So that's your slip knot to start. So let's talk about how we hold our hook. A lot of people hold their hooks like this, kind of like you write with a pencil. Some people hold your hook like this, very close to the top. I like to hold it like this. I like to have access to my pointer finger. It helps me along as I'm doing other things. And then I grip the grip area with my middle finger and my thumb. That's my preferred method. So now we're going to talk about the other side. This is the hardest part about learning how to crochet, and that is learning how to hold your yarn. You are using both your hands to make something, and we're generally using one hand to hold and the other hand to do something with. This time you're going to use your hands simultaneously at the same time. So you're going to be training your hands to work together, and it takes a little bit of time and a little bit of effort, but once you get past that effort, you're going to be very satisfied with what you can do. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to hold our hand up, palm towards our face. We're going to take our yarn and we're going to put it from back to front. We're going to turn our hand the opposite direction. We're going to take our pointer finger and we're going to put it underneath. We're going to take our hand and do a diagonal or a sideways, and we're going to grip the knot always with the middle finger and the thumb. We're going to put the pointer finger up in the air. This pointer finger being up in the air is to help you guide your yarn. It's going to be your tension and your guide. So you need that pointer finger up in the air. You cannot grip it with that. So let's do that again. Hand in front, over, from back to front, under, and sideways. Now, this just lays your yarn here over your pinky. I prefer to have a little more tension on my pinky, so to do that I'm going to put, instead of going from back to front, I'm going to put my yarn from front to back. Turn my hand, put my pointer finger under, and grip. That way I have a ring around there. So this is your hold. Let's try that one more time. And you got it. And so you should have enough loop to put your hook in and out. So what we're going to do is we're going to learn with our crochet chain stitch. That is a chain. It's going to look like a chain. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in front of our yarn. We're going to pull through, and as we're pulling through, I'm going to point my hook down. You have your hook looking at you. You go in front, pull down. Now I'm doing a few things at the same time. I'm always repositioning my pinch right at where the hook is, the yarn at the hook. I'm also using my pointer finger to help guide my yarn. So what I'm going to do again, let's watch again. Put in front, pull down, and through. And that finger goes down as I'm pulling through. Now I'm going to let this finger come up and let this yarn come up with it. One of the things that a lot of people do is they pull really tight like this, and you're never going to get through. So what you want to do is give yourself a little space, pull it through. It's supposed to be a relaxing hobby. So you're not supposed to have a lot of tension on your hands, and you're supposed to let your yarn have some tension, but not it so tight that you're pulling it to the extreme. So again, through. Now I recommend spending in about an hour or two making chains. The other thing I'm doing is I'm holding this to guide, and you'll be using this finger a lot to guide and hold and control that side. All right, so just make some chains. make some chains, and you can pause the video right now before we start doing some single crochet. And I want you to just do 1-2 hours until you get really comfortable. You don't want tight chains like this, and you don't want really super loose chains like this. No loose and no really tight. You want them in between. Alrighty? So try the chaining, and we'll be right back to learn how to single crochet. Welcome back. We're going to now, I'm just starting with a new piece of yarn. I actually just took the chains out myself. And what we're going to do is, now that you're comfortable chaining, we're going to chain 21 chains. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. The reason we do 21 is because when we're going to go back into our chains, we're actually going to lose this last chain. This chain is not going to be used at all. It's kind of a step up to the next row. So let's learn how to do that. There's different ways of looking at our chain. So what we have is, let me focus in on this. We have 2 sides to the chain, and then we have a middle piece, which is on the bottom side. Many people like to put their hook in both sides. Many people like to turn it over and just put it in the middle piece. I prefer to be putting my hook in the top loops. All right, so that's what we're going to do. As you get more advanced, you'll use different ways of putting it in your chain for different reasons. But right now, putting it in the top loop is the most straightforward and the easiest. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our yarn just like I taught you. We're going to hold this piece, and we're going to guide our hook into the first loop. What I'm doing is I'm pinching here. I'm going to pull back. And here's my first loop. I'm going to guide my hook and put it right into that loop. Now I'm going to yarn over and bring that yarn, hook that yarn on, and bring it back into through the loop. Now I have 2 loops on my hook. I'm going to yarn over again, and I'm going to bring it through both loops from the hook. That creates a single crochet stitch. So let's go to the next one. So we've done this one. If you pull on it, you can see it's attached. Here's our next little loop. We're going to, again, hold it, go through, use your fingers here to help guide you. Use your point of your hook to guide you. Yarn over, pull through, and pull up. Give yourself enough space in these to let your hook come through, and then pull through. Okay, let's try it again. So here's our loop that we just went through. We're going to go through this one. The Laurel Hill crochet hooks are great because they have a very nice point that doesn't hurt you when you poke it through, but it guides so easily into that yarn. And we're going to yarn over and pull through, and your yarn over and pull through. This is where it's nice with the color changing. So we're going to be going into the green, but we're going to be making some blue stitches at this point. So let's go into our next one. This one's a little hidden, but we can find it here. Yarn over with the blue and pull through. We have 2 loops, yarn over, and we pull through. So you can see the stitches are little V's at the top. Now there is one mistake that many beginning crocheters make, and that is called a slip stitch. So what they do is they go through the loop, they yarn over through the loop, and then they yarn over again through the loop that's on their hook. That's called a slip stitch. That is not a crochet stitch. That stitch makes it very hard to crochet into. You need that extra second yarn over to make a proper stitch. So let's pull that out and let's do it again. Let's show you what a crochet stitch is. We're going to go in, we're going to go up, yarn over through the loop of the chain, stop, we're going to have 1, 2, we're going to go through, yarn over and through the 2 loops, and that's what you want. So let's keep doing that. I'm going to try to do that nice and slow for you so you can watch my fingers work. So as you can see, both my hands are working simultaneously. Let's keep going through, and then when we're finished with these, we are going to count all our stitches. I'll teach you how to count a stitch. It's not as hard as you think. It's just a matter of looking at what a stitch is. And there's 2 sides to a stitch. It's a V. Don't forget this last little loop here. Alright, so let's count our stitches. I'm going to make this loop big so I can take my hook out. So we have the V's are right here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, and 20, which is how many we were supposed to have, being that we chained 21. So you always chain 1 more than what you need when you're single crocheting. So now we want to turn our work, because we want to go back into the stitches, and we have to work 1 more row up. To turn my work, all I'm going to do is take a chain, make a chain, turn it, and we're going to go back in 1, like that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going into both the V's. I'm not catching just one, I'm catching both the V's. And that also allows me to go through this little hole. There's a little hole that the V's make, and it's very convenient. So I'm going to go in the V. The same thing. Let me do it nice and slow for you. So here we have a V. 1, 2. I'm going to catch both V's. I'm going to catch the yarn and pull through. I'm going to catch the yarn and pull through both loops. And I'm creating another set of V's on top of that. So we're going to do this until the end, and then we're going to learn how to finish off our work. It's very easy when you're crocheting to finish off, and this little project can actually turn into a nice little bracelet. When I teach my kids, the kids I teach, they love doing this because they get an instant bracelet, and I'll show you how we can make this into a bracelet. It's a nice little memento to remember your first crochet project by. And this is the last stitch. It's very confusing because it doesn't quite look like the stitches as the other stitches do, but you have to make sure you have the last stitch. And to make sure we got the last stitch, I'm going to put my stitch in there, but to make sure we have it, what I'm going to do is count again. So I would recommend counting until you get very comfortable with the way that you crochet and making sure that you're catching every stitch. So let's do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, and this is our loop. And now to finish, what we're going to do is we're going to take our loop and make a chain. We're going to cut our loop and we're going to pull it out, and it automatically makes a knot. So if we wanted to, we could take one of our little tapestry needles and we can make a nice little bracelet, which is kind of fun. So what you do is you just attach both ends to each other until and I'm going to do this side, kind of makes it fun because you have a nice little memento that you work so hard on learning how to do. Alright, we got our 2, and then we'll put a little bow on it. Make a knot and a bow. I don't know if I can get this around my wrist, but we'll try. Now it's pretty tight. There it goes. And I have a little bracelet all set. So that's our beginning. Our next video is we're going to learn how to do a half double crochet and a double crochet, which are the next 2 stitches. And then I have a third video coming up that will be teaching you how to take all those stitches and reading a pattern and learning how to read a pattern and make a project. Hope you have fun stitching, and please email me with any questions or any other things that you would like me to show in video form that I can do. Thanks.